Greetings, podcast listeners. In this episode, I'll be looking at some articles about the LGBTQ community in the news. Firstly, in the news last week, Nevada is set to become the 6th US state to make LGBTQ education, including talking about LGBTQ people and their history, a mandatory part of the curriculum. The states which already require schools to teach about the contributions made to America by minority groups include California, Colorado, Illinois, and New Jersey. The Nevada legislation, with the addition of 3 other LGBTQ rights bills, was signed into law at the Henderson Pride Festival by Democratic Governor Steve Sisolak. The law requires that both public schools and schools privately managed but funded by the government provide LGBTQ education from kindergarten to graduation. The other 3 bills, respectively, require 1. Local government should collect demographic information that includes LGBTQ people. 2. LGBTQ-owned businesses may apply as minority-owned businesses when applying for grants and public contracts. And 3. Decriminalizing transmitting HIV. And this is because science shows that this discourages people to get tested for HIV. In other news in Nevada, Democratic lawmaker Sarah Peters has come out as pansexual, saying that she hopes Nevada would become more inclusive and accepting of people in the community, while praising the progress that has been made on LGBTQ equality nationwide. On the other side of the world, in New Zealand, their longest-serving MP, Nick Smith, has retired after being in office for 31 years. In 2013, he voted against gay marriage, an action which he says is his biggest regret, as his son, Logan, came out as gay around 2018. In his retirement speech, he's apologized for his conservative views, saying that he has been re-educated by his son, who was keen to teach him to be more accepting, especially as his son came out. In other news, actually adding on to information to a previous podcast of mine, as much as 1.7% of the world's population is born intersex, roughly the same percentage as people born with red hair. With that in mind, the Pride Progress flag, the one designed by Daniel Kazar a few years ago, is being updated, adding the intersex flag to it. Now in sports news, Devon Roos is set to become just the second openly gay person to compete in a NASCAR event. Not just this, but the car is designed by an out graphic designer. If he were to win, he would be the first openly gay driver to win in the 73 years the sport has been running for. In America, over 70% of the Americans' population support marriage equality. This includes 83% support by Democrats, and now 55% support by Republicans. This latest polling since 2015 shows a 10% surge in support, making it the first time there has been a majority of Republicans supporting same-sex marriage. In other news from last week, to celebrate Pride Month, a bakery in a small Texas town posted a picture of rainbow cookies, prompting a conservative Republican customer to cancel a large order of goods from the small Texas bakery. After expressing their disappointment towards this customer online, the post was spread online, and the next morning, the bakery was sold out of all their goods after lines of customers turned up to show their support to the LGBTQ community and the bakery, which was showing their support for the LGBTQ community. Finally, to end off this episode, I'd like to speak about the current situation in Hungary regarding LGBTQ rights. So Hungary is a small Eastern European country, with a population of less than 10 million, which has been ruled by the right-wing party of Prime Minister Viktor Orbán since 2010. In the next month, they are expected to be introducing an anti-LGBT plus propaganda bill, which is essentially the same as Russia's anti-gay bill. As Hungary is a member of the European Union, they will be the first country to introduce a nationwide anti-LGBT plus law as a member of the EU. The bill effectively bans gay couples, single people, and unmarried straight couples from adopting children. It also restricts the rights of transgender people, as the government says they are to protect children's rights to the gender identity they were born with. With this, the ban on legally recognizing transgender people was passed last year, putting trans and intersex people at risk of severe discrimination, especially when using identity documents. The bill that the ruling Nationalist Party is submitting is similar to the UK's Thatcherian-era policy of Section 28, as it bans LGBTQ+ discussion among people under the age of 18 and bans LGBT+ content in the media, including advertisement campaigns. They are actively using anti-LGBTQ+ propaganda, which includes portraying LGBT+ people alongside paedophilia to strengthen a negative image towards the community. Essentially, the Hungarian people are living in an open dictatorship which actively violates the basic human rights of the LGBT+ community. This is the end of the podcast. In the next episode, I'll be speaking about global LGBTQ+ campaigns. Please subscribe to be notified of new episodes, and share an LGBTQ+ education with your friends and family. Thank you for listening to another episode of my podcast.